Hello there. Welcome to Evolve with Natu. I am Natu, your friendly host. So a month ago, I embarked on a daring yet exciting mission to bring joy to my loved ones in Tanzania. Surprising people, that's practically my specialty. With the help of two of my siblings, I planned a surprise trip to Tanzania. Well, my journey started in Edmonton, with stops in Vancouver, Amsterdam, before eventually making my way to Dar es Salaam. Our flight arrived late at night as scheduled, where I found my sister and her family waiting for me in excitement. So you're probably wondering, who's the first person I surprised? Well, if you know me, this comes as no surprise. My first person to surprise was my darling nephew, Ace, whom I hadn't seen for a few months. His parents had somehow convinced him to come to the airport. Little did he know he is coming to pick Mamti up. He was so excited, and I wish the same excitement had extended to his little brother, who was sleeping at the time when I arrived. But I was patient, I waited, and after a few hours, my darling Ari eventually woke up. And let's just say, he wasn't very keen to get hugs and kisses from the person he hadn't seen for a few months. It doesn't really help that physical touch isn't necessarily Ari's love language, but that's a discussion for another day. But you know me, you know I'm a woman on a mission. I get what I want. And after a few minutes, Ari eventually caved in and he remembered who Mamti is. Or at least I hope. But that was just sufficient enough to make me finally fall asleep in peace, which eventually brings us to day 2. So the second day started off with surprising two of my best friends who both reside in Dar es Salaam. The first culprit was Julia, who was working in the office that day and had stayed late waiting for a package to be delivered from Canada. Well, oh well. Little did she know that instead she's gonna be getting a sneaky best friend delivery surprise, and yeah. She was shocked seeing me at her office, and if you know me, you know traveling in April is never really my thing, so she didn't really see it coming, and neither did all the people that I surprised. I might have gotten hit, and probably she might have screamed, but all of that just made the whole excitement worth it. Which brings me to my next culprit, my darling best friend Renee. She, on the other hand, was expecting my sister and her family to visit. What she wasn't expecting was seeing me at her living room. Her shock, disbelief, and joy was an experience I will relive over and over. And it must have gotten into our heads because we decided that, hey, the next person to surprise was her husband and my dear friend Manny, who came home an hour later. But let's just say the surprise fell flat. He sensed I was in the house before I got in, so he wasn't really surprised. It must have been my shoes outside. Anywho, I didn't give up. I slept it off, which brings us eventually to day 3, the final closing day of the grand surprises, which involved traveling all the way from Dar to Morogoro, my hometown, to surprise my parents. After hours of anticipation, we finally arrived home just in time for supper. My parents were evidently expecting my sister, her husband, and her kids, their grandkids. I, however, was a surprise they did not see coming. The scream of joy from my mom and the tight grip from my dad's hand are moments which will be etched on my memories forever and ever. They thought I was miles away in Canada, but no, I was right there in their living room in Tanzania. And so, my dear viewers, another month, another surprise. Who shall be the next lucky recipient of my next enchanting gesture? Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, bye-bye.